Yeah, good morning to all of you. आज हम एक बहुत ही ऐसा टॉपिक डिस्कस करेंगे जो जनरली इस तरह के सेशंस में डिस्कस नहीं होता है। वो ये कि इंटेलिजेंस को बढ़ाने का तरीका क्या है, और उसके लिए हम लोग को समझना पड़ेगा कि ये इंटेलिजेंस हमारे स्पिरिचुअलिटी के हिसाब से क्या है और कौन से फैक्टर्स इंटेलिजेंस को कंट्रोल करते हैं, और उन फैक्टर्स पे हम इजीली कैसे वर्क कर सकते हैं ताकि हमारा इंटेलिजेंस लेवल बढ़े। आप सब मानेंगे कि हम लोग एक इंटेलिजेंट सोसाइटी में हैं और ये एक सुपर इंटेलिजेंट सोसाइटी बनने वाली है जहां पर कि इंटेलिजेंस एक प्राइम फैक्टर है, जहां पर कि आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस बहुत स्पीड से हमारे घरों में, हमारे जीवन में, हमारे इंडस्ट्रीज में, हमारे ऑफिसेज में एंट्री ले रहा है। वहां पे ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस अगर नहीं पड़ेगा तो वी विल बिकम देयर स्लेव्स। ये पॉसिबिलिटी है। तो उसका उत्तर मैं देने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं क्योंकि ये प्रश्न किया गया और मुझे ऐसा लगा कि इसका उत्तर है। तो मैं आपसे इसके बारे में 3 फ्रेमवर्क में डिस्कस करूंगा। पहला फ्रेमवर्क में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे सांख्य थ्योरी ऑफ क्रिएशन, जो है सांख्य फिलॉसफी के हिसाब से क्या और कैसे इसको किया जा सकता है। सेकंड, हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे कि जो सप्तकोश है उसके हिसाब से इसको कैसे डेवलप किया जा सकता है। और थर्ड, पतंजलि जिन्होंने माइंड के ऊपर इतना ट्रेमेंडस वर्क किया है, उनके 196 सूत्र पूरे माइंड पे हैं, माइंड के पावर पे हैं, एनलाइटन पे हैं। तो उन्होंने क्या सिंपल तरीके से सजेस्ट किया है, इन इन 3 शास्त्रों के माध्यम से, इन 3 सूत्रों के माध्यम से हम लोग समझने की कोशिश करते हैं। आइए सबसे पहले चालू करते हैं सांख्य से। सांख्य अपने आप में बहुत इलैबोरेट और बहुत ही रैशनल, रीजनेबल थ्योरी है जो कि आज भी मॉडर्न साइंस समझने की कोशिश कर रहा है, क्योंकि वो उनको कुछ ऐसे उत्तर दे रही है जो कि वो खुद नहीं खोज पा रहे। तो सांख्य बेसिकली ये बोलती है कि एक प्रकृति है, बहुत छोटी है, जिसको हम नहीं देख सकते हैं, अनमैनिफेस्टेड है। वहां से सबसे पहले एक चीज मैनिफेस्ट होती है, दुनिया में आती है, सृष्टि में आती है, उसको कॉस्मिक इंटेलिजेंस बोलते हैं, बुद्धि बोलते हैं, महट बोलते हैं। महट मतलब द ग्रेट प्रिंसिपल, द ग्रेट तत्व। तो सृष्टि का पहला जो निर्माण है, पहला जो एवोल्यूशन है, वो इंटेलिजेंस का है कॉस्मिक लेवल पे। और हमारी जो बुद्धि है वो उस बुद्धि का हिस्सा है। वी आर पार्ट ऑफ दैट कॉस्मिक इंटेलिजेंस। लेकिन हम ये बात यूज नहीं कर पाते हैं। क्यों नहीं कर पाते हैं, आप उस पे आते हैं। क्योंकि ये जो बुद्धि है ये फिर इवॉल्व होती है और एक नए प्रिंसिपल को जन्म देती है, जिसका नाम है ईगो, अहंकार। आई एम द डूअर, अहंकारा, मैं करने वाला। तो जो कॉस्मिक लेवल पे आया था वो अब इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे हो जाता है। और ये अहंकार अब क्या करता है, पूरे ह्यूमन बीइंग का रियलिटी अब ये अहंकार कंस्ट्रक्ट करता है। ये अहंकार सबसे पहले मन को कंस्ट्रक्ट करता है, उसके बाद 5 ज्ञान इंद्रियों को, सेंस ऑर्गन्स को कंस्ट्रक्ट करता है। कंस्ट्रक्ट से मेरा मतलब है इवॉल्व करता है। उसके बाद 5 ऑर्गन्स ऑफ एक्शन को इवॉल्व करता है, उसके बाद 5 तन्मात्रा जो कि पावर्स ऑफ सेंस ऑर्गन्स हैं उसको इवॉल्व करता है, उसके बाद 5 महाभूत मतलब जो आपके धरती, जल, अग्नि, वायु, आकाश उसको पैदा करता है। इसका मतलब जो कुछ भी है हम में वो अहंकार से ओरिजिनेट होके निकल के आता है बाहर। ईगो इज द सोर्स एंड ईगो इज द इंडिविजुअल। तो अब बड़ा सिंपल है ये प्रोसेस। जब आप ये डायग्राम बनाएंगे एक पेपर पे कि प्रकृति से महट आया, कॉस्मिक इंटेलिजेंस आया, वहां से अहंकार आया और अहंकार से ये बाकी सब निकले बाहर, तो अगर आप अहंकार को मिटा देते हैं तो आप देखेंगे कि आपका इंटेलिजेंस लेवल जो है वो कॉस्मिक लेवल पे ग्रो करना चालू करता है। ईगो इज द बिगेस्ट डिटरेंट, ईगो इज द बिगेस्ट हर्डल। मैं और मेरा, ये आपकी बुद्धि को सीमित कर देता है, बांध देता है, लिमिट कर देता है, रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर देता है और आपके जीवन को एक पर्टिकुलर दायरे के अंदर ही रखता है, क्योंकि फिर आप उतना ही सोच पाते हैं, उसके बाहर आप सोच नहीं पाते हैं। और जो आप सोच पाएंगे वही आपके जीवन में घटेगा। तो लाइफ का पर्पस क्या है? लाइफ का पर्पस है अपने थिंकिंग को एक्सपैंड करना, और थिंकिंग को एक्सपैंड करने का बेस्ट तरीका है ईगो को हटाना। तो कोई भी मीन्स जिससे कि आप अपने ईगो को घटा सकते हैं, मैं और मेरा को हटा सकते हैं, आप देखेंगे आपके अंदर एक एक्सपेंशन होगा और ये एक्सपेंशन यूनिवर्सल लेवल तक जा सकता है। ये एक्सपेंशन आपको ओमनीपोटेंस, ओमनीसियंस दे सकता है। तो सांख्य के क्रिएशन के जो स्ट्रक्चर है उसका ये जो ब्लॉक डायग्राम में ये जो ईगो का ब्लॉक है, हमको इसी ब्लॉक पे वर्क करना है। आप देखेंगे सब अपने आप हो जाएगा। जैसे जैसे आपका ईगो घटने लगेगा वैसे वैसे आपकी इंद्रियां साफ होने लगेंगी, प्योर होने लगेंगी, सात्विक होने लगेंगी। जैसे जैसे आपका ईगो घटने लगेगा वैसे वैसे आपकी कर्म इंद्रियां प्योर होने लगेंगी। जैसे जैसे आपका ईगो घटने लगेगा आपका जो पावर ऑफ सेंस ऑर्गन्स है वो लिमिट में होने लगेगा और तन्मात्राएं घटने लगेंगी। जैसे जैसे आपका ईगो घटने लगेगा वैसे वैसे फॉर्म, ये जो धरती, जल, अग्नि, वायु, आकाश, जो फिजिकल शेप, जो तमस है बाहर, वो आपके जीवन में इम्पैक्ट कम होने लगेगा। अब जब आपके जीवन में फॉर्म, जिसको कि हम लोग तमस बोलते हैं, और मोशन, मूवमेंट, जिसको कि हम लोग रजस बोलते हैं, ये दोनों कम होने के बाद एक ही तत्व बचता है, वो है सत्व, द फॉर्मलेस। तो जैसे जैसे आप ये प्रैक्टिस करेंगे आप ये देखेंगे द ईगो विल स्टार्ट ऑन अ प्रोसेस ऑफ सेल्फ डिस्ट्रक्शन। ईगो विल बिकम फॉर्मलेस, ईगो विल लूज शेप, ego will lose size, ego will lose qualities, ego will become powerless. And as this process goes on, you will realize that you are integrating with Mahat, you are integrating with cosmic intelligence. And then you start thinking at the universal level. You stop thinking at the individual level. So when you are thinking at the universal level, your intelligence, your mind power correspondingly becomes at that level. You have universal intelligence, you have universal mind power, and entire life changes after that. Then the biggest change which happens is you do not depend on the outer world, because now you are connected to the source inside. And this cosmic intelligence, the source inside, becomes the supplier for all that which you can do in the outer world now. So the entire process gets reversed. कुछ लोग इस दुनिया के अंदर जीते हैं, कुछ लोग इस दुनिया के लिए जीते हैं. वो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन आ जाती है. आप दुनिया के अंदर जीना बंद करेंगे, दुनिया से जीना बंद करेंगे, दुनिया के लिए जीना चालू करेंगे, और आपका इंटेलिजेंस विल रीच सुपर नॉर्मल, सुपर नेचुरल लेवल्स. तो ये एक तरीका है. अब ये जो मैंने आपको बताया, ये थ्योरी बताई है. इट हैज टू बी प्रैक्टिस्ड. मान लीजिए एक बच्चा है, तो यू हैव टू सी कि बच्चे के अंदर मैं और मेरा सेल्फ आइडेंटिटी जो है वो कम से कम हो. जितना उसका सेल्फ आइडेंटिटी कम से कम होगा, जितना उसका ये फीलिंग कम होगा, you will find his intelligence will start growing on its own. So this is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is through the Sapta Koshas. Kosha means a layer. So our rishis defined human beings as made up of 7 layers. अब ये layers क्या है जो उन्होंने define किया? उन्होंने कहा कि सबसे पहला layer जो है वो है अन्न माया कोशा. अन्न means food. So this body is made up of food and water which we take. And it is Maya. It is an illusion. Maya can also mean the measurable. Whatever is measurable is an illusion. Whatever has form is an illusion. Whatever has form is temporary. So that is what is Maya. And it is a kosha, it is a layer. So the outermost layer is the food layer, the body. The second layer inside this is the prana maya kosh, the prana which flows in us. The third layer is the man maya kosh, the mind which runs inside us. The fourth layer further inside is Vigyan Maya Kosh. This is the intelligence layer. The fifth layer is Anand Maya Kosh. The sixth layer is Chit Kosh. And the seventh layer is Sat Kosh. The last 2 layers don't have Maya in it. If I repeat, you have the food layer, the pran layer, the mind layer, the intellect layer, the anand, or you can call the heart layer. They are all Maya. But the next 2 layers, the chit and the sat, they are not Maya because they are permanent. They'll always be there. They are consciousness layers, the Atma and the Paramatma. So these 7 constitute a human being. We are not human bodies, we are human beings. We are in a state of being. So now there is a connection between all of them. They are all interconnected like a bamboo. And one influences the other. आप देखेंगे कि जब आपको बहुत गुस्सा आता है, आपकी ब्रीदिंग फास्ट हो जाएगी. आप देखेंगे जब आप शांति में हैं, खुश हैं, आपकी ब्रीदिंग स्लो हो जाएगी. सो नाउ अगर हमको इंटेलिजेंस का जो लेयर है, जो 4th लेवल पे है, उस पे वर्क करना है, तो हमको बाकी लेयर्स पे भी हम वर्क कर सकते हैं. वन कैन बी थ्रू फूड. आयुर्वेद में बोला जाता है कि ब्रह्मी लीजिए, आपका मेमोरी पावर बढ़ेगा, इंटेलिजेंस बढ़ेगा, so that can be one way. Second is pranayam, when you're working on the prana. अगर आप एक बच्चे को सिंपल बोलते हैं कि try and keep a watch on your breath, see it moving up and down, that's all. Don't count, do nothing, keep it simple. Simply see it moving up and down. So you will find his mind will stabilize. And a stable mind means the intellect has gained power. Because who controls the mind? Mind is controlled by the intellect. So when the mind comes under control, the intellect becomes powerful. So intelligence will automatically increase. A calm mind will give rise to intelligence. An angry mind will give rise to non-intelligence. A disturbed mind will give rise to non-intelligence. So breathing is the other way. On the mind, I will come to Patanjali and his suggested methods. He has suggested few methods that we will cover in the next section once I finish with this. Now, इंटेलेक्ट को कौन कंट्रोल करता है? इंटेलेक्ट इज कंट्रोल्ड बाय द हार्ट. मैं जो चाहता हूं, जो मेरे को अच्छा लगता है, वो मैं अपने बुद्धि को बोलता हूं करने को. मेरा बुद्धि वो मन को बोलता है, मन शरीर को बोलता है, शरीर दुनिया में जाके करके आता है वापस. दैट इज हाउ द सीक्वेंस वर्क्स. सो इफ आई एम हैप्पी, if I am happy, if I am in a blissful state of mind, if I have no stress, no tension, my intelligence level will again go up. So stay as happy as possible. Stay as light as possible. Stay as loving as possible. Stay as giving as possible. Stay as forgiving as possible. So when you follow the higher values of life, you will find your intelligence will go up. Then coming on to the Atma and the Paramatma. They are the ultimate controllers. So when you indulge in sattvic activities, when you indulge in spiritual activities, when you believe in Ishvara, then you will find your Atma getting purified, your Atma taking on a power. You will find you are close to the Paramatma, who is the omniscient power, omniscient source of omniscience, source of all knowledge. So that will percolate down. You will find brainwaves coming to you. You will find intuition coming to you. You will find insights coming to you. You will find you are connected to some power who is guiding you in life. You will find coincidences happening in your life. You will find synchronicities happening in your life. You will find the right people coming to you. Intelligence at a different level will start working. So these are the understandings one can draw from the Saptakosha theory. Now coming to Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Patanjali has devoted 196 sutras on the mind. And what he says is something which is phenomenal. He says he has defined yoga as yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. What it means is, when there are no vrittis in the mind, then you are in yoga. Now, what is a vritti? Vritti is a thought. Thought of what? Thought of all that which you have seen and heard. Thought of all that which you were born with at birth. There's something which we pick up because of genetic reasons. And there is something which we pick up from the outer world through the doors of the 5 sense organs. So he says these 5 sense organs are a constant input of thoughts which get stored inside your memory. And it is your mind which is generating thoughts. It could be in the form of knowledge which you have picked up, memory, imagination, and dreams, plus what the 5 sense organs are picking up. So if you look at them, if you analyze them, you will find all of them, all these sources of thought have to do something with form, with shape, with size, with color, and with motion, with change, with transformation. And there might be something which is formless. So there are essentially three qualities of Prakriti, nature, which you will find everywhere in the universe. The form, the formless, and transformation, the change. So Patanjali says, vrittis are nothing but these three. The form coming to you from memory or from outer sources, the change being registered by you, either from inside your memory or from outside you, or your observation of the formless, air, for example, space, for example. So he says, when you put them to rest, then you will find complete peace. So we have to eradicate all forms. And where are these forms held? These forms are held in my memory, in my chit, as sanskaras, as recordings, as psychic impressions. So we have to remove all these recorded forms, because that is what is limiting me. And we have to remove all the changes of forms which we have noticed and recorded, all the transformations of forms which we have noted and recorded. Then what happens? Then you enter a state of absolute peace, because now there is nothing to disturb you. And once when there is nothing to disturb you, you reach the state of the highest. You will find divinity inside you. You will find super intelligence inside you. You will find divine powers flowing through you. So the purpose of life is detachment. It is not that you don't look at these forms, you don't hear these forms, but remain detached from them. When it means remain detached from them, then it means don't record them. If you're recording something as a memory, you are getting attached to it. But don't record them. Allow them to flow. Let them come and let them go.
I'm sorry, can you just repeat it, Sanjay? It's very powerful.
What I'm saying is that these three, the form, the formless, yeah, can you hear me now? Hello? Sridhar, can you hear me?
Slowly, your voice I can hear now a little bit. In between, like 1 minute, everything vanished. I don't know whether the problem is at my end or...
Yeah, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can see you and hear you now.
Okay, there was some network issue. Okay, fine. So what I was saying is, everything in this universe, everything in this creation of space and time has space and time. Okay, so space is form and time is change, motion, transformation. And there is something which has no form. So these three together constitute the three elements of nature, the three qualities of nature, Prakriti. They will come to you through the five sense organs. They will come to you from inside you also. So when we say, stay detached from them, what that means is, you can allow them to come in. but also allow them to go away. Don't get attached to them. Don't record them in your memory. Because if you record them in your memory, then they become a sanskara. And when they become a sanskara, they will turn into a karma today or tomorrow. They will be part of your life tomorrow. They will take physical shape. What is just a form? What is something which your eye has just seen? Any change which you have just noticed today is at a very trivial level. It is a vritti. But tomorrow it will be a physical object. So if you want freedom, if you want happiness in life, if you want to experience real power over the creation, then do not allow them to be recorded. That means do not get attached to them. You see, say for example, I'm walking on a street. And while walking on the street, there are probably 20 cars parked. But I have not noticed them. My eyes might have seen those cars. But I have not noticed them to the extent of recording it. Which company car was it? What was the color of the car? What was the condition of the car? I have not recorded it. So I'm free from it. But the moment I record any one car, which I like, the color, the model, the shape, whatever, the moment I put some comment to it, some emotion to it, it becomes attached. Attached where? There is only one place to attach. That is the chitta, the memory. The computer can only store in one place, the memory. It cannot store on the monitor screen. It cannot store on the body of the computer. It cannot store in the wire of the computer. It can only store in the hard drive. So our hard drive is the chitta. So do not allow that attachment to take place. Enjoy the world. See what comes. Allow it to go also. But do not get trapped and hold on to it. Let it flow. Let it go
Sir, I have a question here.
Yeah.
So the purpose of life is detachment. How do we practice this while we are doing repeated stuff, let's say of our day-to-day life? You know, the family, the work.
I will ask you a question. Can you walk?
Yes.
Who taught it to you?
I think we learned ourselves by walking, by falling.
At what age?
Yeah, in childhood.
No, what age? What age? Childhood could be 16 years also.
I guess 2 years.
Yes. So when a 2-year-old child can do what is unnatural, I'm sure you can also do today what seems unnatural.
No. So my question is, do we need to really detach from all that as well?
I'm saying whatever comes, allow it to come, and then allow it to go also. Don't hold on to it. Don't keep on recording it in your chitta, because then it will start becoming sanskaras. And sanskaras will eventually become karmas. If you remember the chakra of sanskara, it comes as a vritti, which is a thought, which comes in the form of this formless and transformation data. And then when it keeps on coming again and again and you keep on holding on to it, it becomes a sanskara. And when you keep on holding on to it further, it becomes a vasana. It becomes a tendency now. And when you keep on holding further to it, now it has a power of its own. It develops a sankalpa, a willpower. And that willpower now starts executing it in the form of physical action in the world outside. So it leads to karma. Karma is action. Every action will have a reaction. So when you do a karma or karma happens, automatically new vrittis will happen. New sanskaras will get generated. So the cycle will roll on. And this cycle is the cycle of life. This is what is Jivan. Keeps on rolling on. Because we keep on creating sanskaras. Okay? So, when you are becoming light of sanskaras, you are actually elevating your life. You are becoming lighter. The neurons, to go further biologically into this, what is the chitta? Chitta is the brain. That is where the brain structure is, the nervous system is. And it is getting stored in the neurons. Where is the data getting stored? Data is getting stored in the neurons, in the nerve cells.
Yeah.
And they are forming their patterns. Now, if you are not holding on to that data, then you have 100 billion free neurons, which has no data. But if you fill it up with data, then though you have 100 billion neurons, tremendous power of processing, all of them are already occupied and filled up with junk. Okay. So who are we? We are processing machines. We are thinking machines. Now, when I have 100 billion neurons free with me and I just put in one thought, it can process at a phenomenal speed to a phenomenal level. But when I am holding 100 billion neuron data and I put in one thought, the processing might not take place. It might take place at a very slow speed. It might give me wrong input. A lot of things can go wrong. So for us to perform as superhuman beings, for us to perform at supranormal levels, as supernatural beings, we need to keep our processors empty. Are you getting me?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes.
Yeah. So you see, you have to understand, why were the yogis able to do all those miraculous things? Because they kept their processors empty.
Sir, but the yogis were never living in a family. They used to live in the mountains where...
This is your misconception. Yeah, Krishna was a yogi. He's considered as Yogeshwar. And out of the 300 Brahma Rishis which this country has seen, 298 of them were householders. They were married, they had children. Okay. Look at people even today. A person like, say, Guru Nanak, where we have the Sikh religion, more than 2 crore followers. He was a householder. He was a farmer. So it is not that by running away from life or moving into the mountains you'll be able to find God and power. No. He is there. You have to detach. That's all.
So are you trying to say that we can find the solitude while we are living in the world with people? It's like...
I am not saying solitude. I am saying freedom.
Yeah.
You see, you are living in a world of noise. You can find freedom from that noise by not listening to that noise.
And not listening means not reacting
to
anything.
Not engaging with that noise.
Okay.
So when you are not engaging with that noise, then you become intelligent automatically. Whatever you're putting in will get intelligently processed.
Okay. Understood. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I have 2 questions.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. The first is, you gave the example of the car. So if I have seen the car, so how do I, and I've registered, how do I erase that from my memory? That is one. And secondly, if I erase it, then how do I enjoy seeing that car?
Okay, good question. You see, this world offers you the complete range from 0 to infinity in enjoyment. Okay, you can enjoy to any level. There is no limit to it. It can be any level. You can lose $10 billion in one game of Flash in a casino in USA. Okay, you can have 100 girlfriends all over the world. Anything is possible. I mean, I don't know how you define enjoyment. So you see what happens is we have to...
Hello?
Yeah?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sir, you are audible.
Yeah, it's all right. It's coming.
Okay, so what happens is you have to decide.
Hello?
Prakriti will give you...
Sorry, I missed that. I missed what you said because...
what I'm saying is Prakriti, nature, creation, universe will offer you everything.
Right.
Okay, it is here for you. And it does not exist without you. Can you listen to me?
Yeah, I can. I'm hearing him.
Okay, when you pass away, the universe passes away with you for you.
Right.
The universe does not stay back for you. And why is that so? Because if you look at the Sankhya creation of the universe, it starts from Prakriti, comes to cosmic intelligence, then to the ego, then to the sense organs, and then to the Panch Mahabhut. So the world outside is part of me inside. My inside is perceiving the outside. So the outside is not existing on its own. I am creating that outside inside me.
Right.
Right. So this Prakriti is here for your enjoyment. So depending on where you are in your cycle of movement of Atma, we are moving from one Atma to other Atma to third Atma to the fourth Atma and changing bodies as we are moving ahead. So as an Atma, you are merely experiencing your karmas, your sanskaras. So your past sanskaras are playing out like a movie for you. And you are merely watching that movie. Okay. So once those sanskaras play out, they are over. Then you are free from the universe. You can leave the universe and go. The universe will also leave you and go because then the universe has no further purpose. Are you getting me?
Sir, once you finish this, how to increase your intelligence.
1 minute.
Can you just...
Actually, I just want to understand now. So in that same example, I've seen the car, I liked it, I erased it from my memory, but now I want to enjoy the car, How do I, how do I enjoy it?
No, I think it was Anilji who raised this point. We have deviated a bit from where we were intending to go. That was intelligence. Let us finish that first. I will answer your question towards the end, right? Sure. Just be a bit patient with me. Yeah, please allow me that time. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So coming back to intelligence, right? Now I have lost my track. Where was I? What was the last thing I spoke?
Just one request. Once you finish this, how to increase intelligence, may I request you to kindly summarize the steps of how to increase intelligence, because there's been a whole lot of data and at least I have got confused.
I will share,
Yes, okay, sir.
I'll share. Yeah. So I will share with you one simple thing. If you start doing, you will find your intelligence increasing. Okay. Anyway, so I think we were on Patanjali. So Patanjali.
But you were talking about that your Atma, the journey of that it changes, and then if you reach that, the universe will also leave you. So you were talking.
Yeah, no, I'm coming back to the definition of yoga. You see, so when you are able to detach from the form, the change of form, and the formless, then what happens? You reach a state of peace. Why? Because forms have disappeared, change of forms have disappeared, you're only left with the formless. Now, who is the supreme most formless? The supreme most formless is the Nirakar. One who has no akar, no shape, no size, no color. So that Nirakar is nothingness. That Nirakar can be Sagun Nirakar or Nirgun Nirakar, but it is shapeless. So you reach that state. You reach that state. You reach the state of Ishvara gradually when you start working on removing the form and the change of form. And you initially start reaching the state of the Atma, because the Atma also is Nirakar. Atma also is changeless, has no shape. Okay? So you see, what happens is something very magical happens out here. The magical thing is, Prakriti is Akar. Space and time is Akar. Beyond space and time is Nirakar. Because there is no space, there is no time, that is Nirakar. So the moment you start moving into that domain of Nirakar, you are crossing the boundaries of existence. You are crossing space and time limitations. You are going beyond into another domain beyond the universe. And when you are going into that other domain beyond the universe, that is the domain which is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. That is the domain which has infinite knowledge, infinite intelligence, infinite power, infinite presence. And that is the domain where he is the infinite, eternal Guru. Because he is the source of all knowledge. So can an unintelligent person give knowledge, become a Guru? He can never become a Guru. It is only a person who has been able to elevate himself. How to elevate? Cross over the boundary of time and space. How to cross over the boundary of time and space? By removing form and the change of form. Where does the form come in from? Form comes in from our eyes. Where does the change of form come in from? Change of form comes in from our eyes. Where is it getting stored? It is getting stored in my memory. So if you cannot stop its coming in, at least delete its memory. If it has got stored inadvertently, unintentionally, or that time you wanted to store it, but then keep on cleaning up that also. Keep on deleting what is not required. Okay, if you want to enjoy part of it, enjoy. But keep the delete button also in good use. Whatever is not required has to go. In fact, the human body has been designed in such a way that what is not required automatically starts decaying and getting deleted. The brain cells lose that memory. And if you recall it, it reinforces that memory. That is a natural design. But you can do it intentionally. And then you will find magic happening in your life. Okay? So, Patanjali says something very simple. He says, Ishvara is represented by the symbol Om. So chant Om. When you chant Om, all your mental illnesses will go away. He says illnesses of the body, illnesses of the mind, they will go away. So one simple thing which can be done is chanting Om. Chanting Om will increase your intelligence because it will remind you of God. It will connect you to Ishvara. It will connect you to that supreme source of knowledge. It will connect you to that eternal Guru. It will connect you to that power which is beyond Prakriti, beyond space and time. It will bring you closer to him, and he will start flowing through you, and you will find your intelligence has gone up. Then he says, if you are unable to practice Om, then all you need to do is something very simple. Say for instance, it's a child, and the child likes to eat rasgullas. So you tell the child, close your eyes, sit in a comfortable position, and imagine a rasgulla, and you are having that rasgulla. Do that for 10 minutes. That is concentration. And make him do for a month, 2 months. You will find his concentration levels going up. And you will find his intelligence going up. In fact, anybody can do it. Say you are fond of buying a particular Mercedes. Okay, you still haven't bought it, and you are leading a stressful life. Fine. So you think about your Mercedes. Close your eyes. Think about that Mercedes. Visualize that Mercedes for 10 minutes a day. Do it for 3 months. You will find the stress levels have gone down in your life, and you will find that Mercedes manifestation would be closer to you. You will find happiness in your life just by spending 10 minutes on your Mercedes which you want. So there are various ways, as Anilji pointed out, कि आपने तो बहुत कुछ बोल दिया. Can you just kindly summarize towards the end? So you see, it is a game of the mind. And mind, okay, Anilji, I'll do that. Okay. So let us go step by step. First of all, we discussed Sankhya. Sankhya, we found that the cosmic intelligence becomes individual intelligence after the ego comes in. Because ego is the second development which takes place of Prakriti. From Prakriti, first you get cosmic intelligence which comes out, and then the ego comes out. So ego limits. Ego is main or mera. So when we start reducing the main or mera, and when we start doing sab tera, when we are in the giving mode, then you will find growth. You will find internal expansion, internal growth. You will find divine health. You will find divine intelligence flowing through you. You will find you have become more lucky. These kind of things will start happening. Okay, so the ego is the first step which Sankhya suggests, and it is very logical if you look at their flow chart of how the creation has come and what role are we playing in it. Achha. Second was the Saptakosha theory. So in these, you have to remember we are made up of 7 elements. First is the body, then you have the breath, then the mind, then the intellect, then the heart, then the Atma, and then the Paramatma. Now these 7 are not separate. These 7 are interconnected. They are like, if you look at a bamboo pole, it has various sections. So if you lift the bamboo from one end, the other end will also get lifted up. Similarly with these 7 sections, if you work on any one section, you will find all 7 sections getting lifted up. So you can work on the body, you can work on the breath, you can work on the mind, you can work on the intellect, you can work on the heart, you can work on the Atma, you can work on the Paramatma, you will find improvement. Body can be through certain food items. I know some people take Brahmi. Brahmi is an Ayurvedic preparation for memory and intelligence. Breath is, if you start observing your breath, you will find your mind cooling down. You will find the stress level of your mind coming down. You will find your mind getting relaxed. So a relaxed mind is an intelligent mind. because then it is getting connected to the cosmic intelligence. Anything which is relaxed, anything which is at peace is connected to the cosmic mind, is connected to the intelligence which runs the whole creation, you know. Third is the mind itself. If you can do some exercise like probably say mindfulness, where you're keeping a watch over your mind, looking at what the mind is doing, and doing away with stress, doing away with reactions, generating positive thoughts. If you have a negative thought, putting opposite positive thought in its place, then you will find the mind coming under control, the mind cooling down. And as the mind comes under control, as the mind cools down, you will find automatically a peaceful mind will be a more intelligent mind. Then the heart, if you are happy, you will find your intelligence working better. You know, if say for instance, I have an office where I have stressed out employees, and I have another office where I have happy employees, employees who are at peace with each other, employees who are enjoying their work. So the second bunch of employees would be more intelligently working than the first bunch of employees. So the condition of the heart, the happiness level also plays a role in the amount of intelligence which you display, which works, which comes out of you. Okay, it is a variable, it is not fixed. So it comes out of you. Okay. Then the Atma and the Paramatma. If you move towards divinity, if you do activities which are of a higher nature, could be doing charity, loving, forgiving, all these kind of spiritual activities which are helpful to others, which bring happiness to others, you will automatically find your mind at more peace and it will be working far more intelligently. So that is broadly on the Saptakosha thing. Coming back to Patanjali, Ishvara, he says, is the ultimate, and Ishvara is beyond Prakriti, beyond space and time, outside the domain of space and time. So he is in a domain where all knowledge is present. So as we remember Ishvara, as we think about him, as we go towards him, as we commit ourselves to him, as we become his bhakts, as we go into samarpan to him, he starts coming into our lives, and we will find intelligence coming into our life. We will find wisdom coming into our life. Then if you chant Om, Om is a mystic symbol, a mystic sound. It has the power to transform because it represents Ishvara. There is a particular science behind Om. So it starts healing the mind. It starts healing body diseases. It starts healing mental diseases. And you will find your mind is much more at peace and the intelligence level has gone up. So these are basically the things. And if you could bring your mind to one place by bringing it to something which you find interesting. Say, for instance, I spoke about a Rasgulla for a child. So if a child is doing it for, say, around a month or 2 months, you will find a restless child becoming quite a, I would say, a sober, controllable child, you know. Similarly, if you are having difficulties, you are having stress, you are having anxiety, it is affecting your operational levels at your workplace, you are not able to intelligently work, then you can think of some of your aspirations, some dream which you have, and that also will work for you. If you are dreaming of having a Mercedes Benz for you, you can think about that model, or think about that color, visualize it, Do it for 10 minutes a day. Do it for 2-3 months. You will find tremendous amount of peace coming to you, and you will find the manifestation of that Mercedes also happening for you. There are various ways, If you have been to this is the last, I didn't speak about it, but I'm sure all of us would be having these memories. If you have traveled to some good location, exotic location, could be a forest area, could be a beach, could be a mountain, could be a riverside where you have spent some good time. You can recollect those memories, do it for 10 minutes a day, do it for a month or 2 months. You will find your mind coming to tremendous peace, tremendous relaxation. And again, you will experience a higher level of intelligence, a higher level of effectiveness and efficiency at work and at home also. So broadly, that is it. I hope I have been able to cover the subject. And now, if there are questions, you may please ask. No questions? So was I a good speaker, or it went above your heads?
Is chanting Om and listening to Om has the same effect?
It is suggested that if you can chant Om, it is better.
Okay.
But personally, I listen to the chant of Om. Yeah, and it works for me. Yeah.
Okay. So just to summarize the 4 steps, one is to reduce the ego. Second is to observe your breath. Third is, I forgot what you said. Third is...
You see, to put it in a single sentence, anything which will make you a better human being,
okay,
and which will take you closer to God, will make you more intelligent.
And there is a 4th step which you said. No. Just the 3 steps.
We are recording this, so it will be on YouTube. If you wish, you can listen to the recording.
Visualizing your aspirations.
Okay.
Sanjay, I have one question.
Yes.
You talked about not forming impressions so that, the samskara doesn't get formed. So one of the things is, in living in this world, necessarily I have to remember something, make note of things, be observant about things. Now, when does that convert into becoming a samskara? Meaning that when does it, or does everything that I make a note of, I remember, becomes a samskara? Is that the case? So I'm not very clear on that.
Okay, samskara starts with a vritti, a thought. And a thought reinforced again and again will become a samskara. One quick way of reinforcing a thought is emotion. If you are adding some very solid emotion to it, then it becomes a samskara pretty fast. But if you're not adding emotion to it, but you're repeating it, say something like japa. Japa is where you are repeating it 10,000 times, 1,00,000 times. So it is becoming a samskara, and it is becoming a deep samskara, right? It might last many lifetimes. So that is the way it goes. The fastest way is visualization. If you are able to see it and hold on to that image, that is one way. The second way, as I told you, is repetition. When you do it again and again. And the third way is emotion. When you are using your emotion, if you're into an argumentative mode, you will find that argument getting deeply imprinted in the minds of all the people concerned out there.
So my question actually is, thanks for explaining what ways samskaras are formed. It's very useful because now I'm beginning to understand. Now, my question is, are all samskaras to be avoided? Living in this world, can samskaras be avoided? So that's what I understood from what you said. Because the moment you form samskaras, then they will turn into vasanas. Vasanas will turn into sankalpa, through willpower, karma, vritti. So to break this vicious cycle, we should avoid any samskara. So I should stop doing japa. Is that what it means? I'm doing japa every day.
I will answer you. I will answer you. Vrittis are of two types. There are vrittis which are obstacles to yoga, which have to be avoided. And there are vrittis which take you towards yoga, which have to be encouraged. That is to begin with. Okay. Now, what is to be avoided? Anything which makes you more ignorant about who you are. You have to realize you are an Atma and not a body and a mind combo. Okay? And you have been traveling, you are a cosmic traveler. You have been traveling for probably billions and billions of years, shedding bodies after body. And your chitta has been carrying its sanskaras from one body to the other body. Only the body gets left over wherever you are. The chitta carries. And you are accompanying the chitta. Now the question is, the Atma, the Purusha has to get liberated. That is the last goal. Okay. Liberation can only happen when the sanskaras go away. When there is not even a single sanskara, then the liberation happens. So first what you need to do is, you need to start avoiding those sanskaras which are obstacles to yoga. There would be them. I'll tell you what these 5 obstacles are. One is ignorance. Ignorance about who I am truly. I am an Atma traveling. I am a cosmic traveler. Second is ego. Ego again comes here. Ego is an obstacle to yoga. Right? So when you remove ego, you move towards the infinite. Third is attraction. Getting attracted to certain things or certain people or certain concepts. So that is attachment. Okay. Fourth is aversion. Aversion means the opposite of attachment. If you are having attraction, then there will be certain things towards which you will automatically have aversion also. Hatred. So those things also have to go. And the fifth is clinging to life. We are instinctually wanting to live. We are afraid of death. All of us. That is why this entire insurance industry is surviving, health industry is surviving, pharma industry is surviving, huge industries are surviving. Not surviving, thriving in fact. Okay. So the fear of death is the cause of all fears which you have in life. So if you are able to realize that you are the Atma and you are not dying, the body will shed itself. So that fear goes away. If you are keeping a watch over your mind and controlling its behavior, attraction and aversion through the intelligence, the way our Paresh used to say, ki buddhi ko man ke piche laga ke rakho, you know. So aversion and repulsion will go away. Ego, you have to work on it. Main or mera has to go. And that knowledge has to come. The true knowledge has to come that you are not a limited creature on this planet. This is not your only one lifespan. You don't have a starting and ending date. That misconception has to go. But we are unable to shake it off because of modern science and its thinking and its impact on our lives, you know, our thinking, our education. But if you try practicing this, removing these obstacles, they are called kleshas, you will suddenly find a tremendous power in your life. And that is the way to go.
Thanks, Sanjay. So that was very, very, very useful because you have removed my doubt. But I mean, little bit of the samskara, the doubt is still remaining. That is, you said what are the obstacles to liberation? Very good. Now, coming back to so okay. One of the points is from whatever you said that ultimate liberation depends on even the last bit of even the good samskaras to go away, right? I mean, today what I am clinging, like I'll tell you, for example, I'm doing japa every day so that calms my mind, that takes me closer to God. I remember God in my japa. I'm talking about Mahavishnu. I'm talking about Krishna. I'm thinking about him all the time. So Not all the time, when I'm chanting. Now, you are saying that is helpful today, but it's not going to be helpful ultimately. Correct? Okay. So that's a
you see, liberation happens when the mind goes away. Okay, so the mind can only go away when the sanskaras are not there. If the sanskaras are there, then the mind is serving a purpose. It is holding on to those sanskaras.
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere that, Papa and Punya, the karmas, we are thinking that only, we should accumulate punyas. But even that is an obstacle ultimately, because those punyas will ultimately... Sorry, yeah, please.
No, you see what happens is as you move on, what might be good for you to move in the direction of yoga, somewhere down the line will no longer be needed. So you have to shed it off. It will start disappearing on its own, As you keep on moving on the path, what is not required will start disappearing on its own. And
I think all these are accumulated. These are accumulated by the ego, the false self. So once the false self keeps falling by the wayside or becomes weaker, the ability to accumulate also will not be there, because there's nobody to accumulate, because the soul doesn't have any memory. I mean, right?
No, but you have to remember, accumulation has not happened today. Accumulation might have happened 100 lives back.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is...
I have another question.
Yes,
Either today or next session.
Let him just complete. No, he was answering a point.
Just give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
Just give me 2 minutes. So what happens is, as you progress on sanskaras, you reach a stage where you have truth-bearing sanskaras. Suddenly you will find there will be new sanskaras which the mind will generate and tell you the eternal truths. Okay. And then a stage will come, even those will stop. And you will be in a no-mind territory. You will not know who you are, where you are, what time, what space, because you are gone out. You are no longer in this time and space. Time and space is only because of the mind. If you remove the mind, where is time, where is space?
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome.
It was very, very revealing.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please ask.
I find my concentration wavering all the time. While I'm listening to you, then I think, okay, am I doing this? And then I go to something else. And that's a problem with me all the time. I do want to listen to you, but my concentration, and then I miss parts of your speech. And that's the reason I said, let's summarize. How do I increase my concentration? Some exercise.
Practice. Answer is one word: practice. You have to practice. Start simple, start small, and stick to it. And concentration is not built over a short period. It takes years and years. Okay. Even Patanjali says it has to be done without interruption, persistently for long periods of time. There's a sutra on this, and I'm telling you the meaning of that sutra. So you are training something which is untamed, right? The mind is untamed, and we are taming it. So start small, take regular steps. It will happen. The number one. Number two, the biggest game changer here can be belief in a power, belief in God, or belief in some supernatural power. That will speed up the process tremendously. Okay, yeah.
So I have questions. See, one is, I tend to remember things, what I did or what I saw in my childhood, and what happens recently, I don't remember also. What could be the reason behind such thing,
Today you are probably loaded with information. Yeah.
Okay. So I need to erase the information.
Yeah, you just pay attention to what is needed by you. Just focus on the essentials. That's all.
No, as Anilji said, even my concentration, actually, I'm losing concentration. No? Earlier, I used to concentrate very well, but over time, the concentration level has actually fallen.
No, it is not our fault, actually. You see, the media industry is playing games with us, and we are constantly bombarded with information. And you will find that the concentration spans, attention spans, have been falling drastically. Earlier we could sit through a 3-hour movie comfortably and see it in a cinema hall. I wonder today how many people can actually go into a cinema hall and be there for 3 hours and look at a movie.
Right. Okay. The other question is on this Om, just simply chanting Om helps, or you have to have that, follow that rhythm, that pattern, plus O plus Ma. You have to.
No, you chant Om, that's all.
Normal Om, that's also helpful, is it?
Sorry?
A normal Om, just Om. That is also helpful, or you have to.
No, you see, there are 2 Oms. Okay, one is OM, another is AUM.
Right.
Yeah, it is advised to do AUM and not OM. Yeah.
Okay. And what should be the duration of each Om? Any timelines, or as much as you can?
I am a pretty free thinker. I believe anything which works for you is right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sir, I just had a query. Sir, can we do a cleansing activity like now the samskaras, the vrittis cause samskaras? So can every day can we in the night like a routine activity of cleansing all the thoughts, like go through everything and you're cleaning it out?
Yeah, should be done. Yes, if you can do it. Yes, but how do you do it?
Like you think through everything that has happened that day, and then you're cleaning it out. Like you're removing it from your system.
How do you remove it?
Remove it with a thought process only, like
I can suggest you a better method. You think of whatever you want to think of, and imagine it is there on the whiteboard, and you have a duster in your hand, and wipe it off.
Okay.
So that way the visual, the form will disappear in a far better way.
Okay.
If you're only doing it mentally, it might hang on. It might stay there. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So then,
thank you. This is Anshuman here. And,
yes, Anshuman.
Really amazing session today, and thank you for sharing your conceptual understanding about intelligence. It was surely helpful. And thank you for recommending this book by Edwin Band. Amazing book. In fact, quite detailed yet simple. And Vacheswati Mishra and other commentaries are there. So I think really amazing read, which is I think recommended for anybody who wants to read about Yoga Sutras. I just wanted to ask Sanjay ji, I think you are so knowledgeable. For a spiritual seeker, what are the books which are recommended for Sankhya philosophy and Ashtanga Yoga? Any other books? Your top 3, top 4 books which you would recommend?
I would Sankhya. You can go for Sankhya Karika. Okay, Sankhya Karika. It is by I'm forgetting the name of the monk from Ramakrishna Mutt.
Okay.
The cover photo was given in the group by Sushil Bagadia, I think yesterday.
Yes, it is there.
Yeah, so the same author is what you can take. It's quite a detailed one. Patanjali Yoga Sutras, what you have got is considered to be the best. Ashtanga Yoga would be there in it. And go slow, don't go fast. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right then, so can we close?
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful